What's going on, trappers? Welcome back to J-Will Trap TV. If you're like K9 and you're betting on this channel, make sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, and put a notification bell so you know when I go live or make a new video. I wouldn't want you to get dropped over a like. Let's go. Yo, what is going on? Welcome back to J-Will Trap TV. We are back with BMF Season 2, Episode 9. Episode 9, guys. One more episode to the finale. Oh my God, let's go. Let's get right into this episode. This episode is called High Treason. Let's get started. Let's go. We start this episode with our usual title card. This one says, Freaknik gave us a new outlook on being able to see the urban college kids in our community coming together in a positive direction. So it sounds like in this episode, we're gonna be going to Atlanta and going to some of these Freaknik parties, getting to some of these clubs and ATL. So let's see what happens. Let's go. We start the episode off. We got the BMF crew. We're in these Corvettes. Meech is speeding, Terry's speeding, and it looks like we're getting really fast and furious on our way to ATL. We get like a Tarantino title card and we go back to 2 days ago. Meech and Terry are meeting and Terry is saying that BMF has to go. Meech is not 100% on this, and he's saying they need to go to Atlanta to expand. Terry says they can't trust all these dudes around us, especially when they got 500 keys coming in. Meech is still going on about Atlanta, and he says they need to lock in dealers at the Freaknik parties. Terry isn't giving up on the B. Mickey situation, and he's saying that Brian will offer B. Mickey a deal and that B. Mickey will choose himself over Meech and Terry. He says that they need to take B. Mickey with them to Atlanta and leave him down there for good. Meech hears this from Terry and he reluctantly says that this is fine. So we start this one off pretty crazy. Terry calling a hit in on B. Mickey. So we go back to Meech driving and he gets a call from Brian. Brian is accusing him or B. Mickey of breaking in. Meech tells Brian to fuck off and he ends the call. B. Mickey says that Brian isn't gonna let up, and Meech says it doesn't matter because he has his back. Meech tells B. Mickey that Atlanta is different and he's probably gonna like it. B. Mickey says that maybe he can stay down here. So B. Mickey still thinks he's about to run this operation, but little does he know he might get clipped before this trip is over. We come in on our first Freaknik party in ATL. Huge block party, tons of people out here partying in the streets. Monologue Terry gives us a lesson on Freakniks in Atlanta. Coming on our BMF guys party and everything looks good until one of the PA guys gets a little too handsy with the chick. She's screaming get off of her and he won't let go, and then Meech has to come up to break it up. Meech pulls the PA guy, Shane, off of this chick, and then next thing you know, this other guy, Remy Ransom, comes up and he gets in Meech's face. Remy Ransom takes a shot at Shane, knocks him down, and Meech tells this guy that he can't be hitting this dude, and he tells him to scram. Once Remy's out the picture, Meech goes up to Shane and he tells Shane that he is out of the trip and he needs to go. Shane tells Meech that he's a PA guy and that Meech doesn't have the authority to kick him out. And then Sterling comes up and he backs up Meech and kicks out his own guy. So that's real loyalty. But Sterling does tell Meech that Shane was one of his highest earners, but then Meech assures Sterling that guy can get busted for rape and then take down the whole crew for snitching. Sterling takes this advice well, and we end the scene. We switch over to Brian, and he is moving B. Mickey's guns into a new safe. So he had the small safe that B. Mickey tried to break into, but now he's taking those guns out and he's moving into a new black safe in his closet. Kevin comes in and he starts talking to Brian about who may have broken into the house, and Kevin thinks that it is Marcus, the bully from school. Brian downplays the idea that it's Marcus, but then he plays dumb himself, even though we both know that he thinks it's either Meech or B. Mickey. We end the scene with Brian telling Kevin not to be afraid of Marcus. We switch to Al and Lamar at Al's house. Al's outside watching TV on his patio. Lamar comes in upset and he says that Meech is blackballing him. He also says that people have stopped paying their taxes to him. Al doesn't want to hear what Lamar is talking about, but Lamar gets upset and he breaks Al's TV to make him listen. We switch back to the precinct with Veronica Jen, and we got a guy named Detective Dublin coming to see Brian. Brian isn't here, but then he has Kevin with him and he leaves him with Veronica Jen. Kevin tells Jen about the whole break-in situation and that his dad got a new safe. After Kevin tells Veronica Jen the entire story, Brian walks up and he wonders why Kevin's not at school. Kevin says that he doesn't feel safe at home or at school and that he wants to move back with his mom. Ooh, that's a major burden to Brian. Brian tries to resist this and tries to tell Kevin to buck up, but Kevin says no, and Brian finally agrees to call his mother. So Brian is losing his kid. You know Brian is about to come hard. You know Brian is not playing now. We switch to Lamar and he goes to see Mo. He comes into the house and he has some flowers for her. He also tells Mo that he has a $30,000 college fund. We also see that Lamar has gotten Mo a pretty big rock, a nice little engagement ring. I'm like, dang. Mo's a little taken aback. She picks up the ring and she says that, oh, this is so hard. You're making this so hard. Lamar says that he knows that Mo wants to take it slow, but he's ready to be the best version of himself. He says that they got to celebrate and he busts out the cocaine on her. We go back to Atlanta with Meech and the crew and he's meeting up with Goldie. She has a beautiful house and she brings them in. She makes a bunch of jokes to the boys. She tells B. Mickey that he's a toothpick looking ass nigga. And she makes fun of Terry for cutting off his tail. Meech finally pays Goldie for her help in the previous episode. And then he talks about getting into business with her. He asks if he can clean his cash in her clubs. Goldie says that she likes them, but she doesn't trust them yet. Meech says that she has good reason to trust him, that he got her money on time without her asking. And Terry says they've been doing a lot of hustling for contacts out here and they just need an olive branch. Goldie says there's a party tomorrow night in Magic City. She says that she can introduce them to Stephanie, who used to dance for her, but now she's one of the biggest realtors out there in Magic City. B. Mickey makes a joke about her running a stripper school. And then Goldie schools B. Mickey and tells him that she takes women off the street, empowers them, and schools them on how to make better decisions with their body. I don't know, man. B. Mickey kind of slipping up around here. He's slipping up around here. He's not saying the right things. We end the scene with Meech saying that he has to use the restroom. We go back to Brian and Veronica Jin. It looks like Kevin has gone on to be with his mom. Brian's pretty fucked up and he says that Kevin wasn't built to be like him. Veronica Jin asks Brian why he didn't tell her about the break-in. Brian starts to say that it was Marcus who broke into the house and that he's gonna handle it himself. We switch back to Meech and he's coming out the bathroom at Goldie's house. And as he's coming out, there's another woman, she's frail, her name is Sandra. She falls over and she reaches out to help for Meech, and then before Meech can help her, Goldie shows up and closes the door. We then go to this scene where Goldie's helping Sandra. She tries to comfort Sandra as she seems like she's in pretty bad conditions. Sandra says that she wakes up every day hoping to die, but Goldie says that she's gonna continue to provide care for her and keep her alive. I'm not sure what's going on with this scene right now, but I'm looking around the room and there's a high level of care, a lot of expensive hospital equipment in here. So Goldie's doing something, I'm not sure what she's doing, but maybe this is a family member or her mother, I'm not sure. We now switch to Meech and Terry and we're going to Taiwan. Washington's house and what looks like to be his penthouse. Terry asks Meech why he wanted to hightail it out of Goldie's house so quickly, and Meech doesn't really give him too much information. We come into Ty's house and we see your boy is living pretty good. Meech pays Ty Washington back for the front that Ty gave him in the beginning of the season. Terry starts talking to Ty about their new Columbia Connect, and he says that he wants to put a flag down in the ATL area. Ty is a little opposed to this in the beginning because he's saying he doesn't want any competition. Meech explains that he just wants to take care of the pipeline coming here out of the ATL to the rest of the country, and then Ty relents and says that he can do business with them. At this point, Terry asks Ty about a hitman that can take care of B. Mickey. Ty says he has a guy that can do that, and Meech says he wants to make sure that there aren't any loose ends, and Ty says that don't worry, he is a good guy for all of this stuff. We did get to meet Ty's wife, Deanna, who is played by Young Miami. She asked him to stay for dinner. We go back to the Flenory house and we see Charles in the kitchen. There's a knock on the door and Charles goes to answer it, but then Lucille runs down the stairs and she's in a dress, and then she opens the door and it's Pastor Swift. So Pastor Swift is here trying to take Lucille out to dinner. Charles isn't very happy about this. He asks them what time they're going to be coming back. Lucille says that she's grown and he doesn't need to worry about what time she's coming back. So, oh God, Lucille, you better not. Lucille, you better not. Charles goes back to the house and Nikki asks Charles that if their parents do divorce, who will she live with? Charles says they are not divorcing and that he will always be there for her. We go to Lucille and she's having dinner with Pastor Swift. She's venting about some of the things that's been going on with her and Charles at home. And she's being very platonic. She's just telling Pastor Swift about these issues. Pastor Swift is listening to Lucille and he gives her some advice, but when she says that she can't trust the men in her life, he reaches under the table and puts his hand on her leg. At this point, Lucille takes his hand and puts it back on the table and says that she just needs counseling. So now that Lucille rejected his advance, when the waiter comes up for the check, instead of Pastor Swift paying for the meal, he says that he wants to split down the middle. Today, Pastor Swift was trying to knock down Lucille, and then when she put him off, he did not want to pay for the bill. That was pretty sleazy. We go back to Brian's house and he's in his house alone smoking a cigarette. Veronica Jin comes over and she asks Brian about the bully. Brian says that he took care of it and Jin says that he always takes care of things, and they start to have sex. We go back to Lamar and Mo and they are still doing lines. She's making it seem like she wants to have sex with Lamar and she asks him to smoke some of this crack. Lamar says that he's not really interested in smoking crack, but she's saying that if he smokes the crack, it'll help him get past this little erection problem and they can have sex. She loads up the pen for him to smoke, and as Lamar is getting ready to smoke, and she's not kind of taking her clothes off or anything, she's saying, hold on, Lamar asks if she is trying to play him. At this point, Lamar asks Mo to smoke the crack first. And Lamar, you can tell, is not down, but Lamar says, no, I'll light it. So he lights it for her, she smokes it, and she starts to choke, and he knows that something's up, and he starts to choke her. He goes from choking her to full on trying to kill her. She fights back, but the entire time Lamar is yelling that Meech turned her against him. She even grabs Blackie's ashes, the vase of Blackie's ashes, and she smashes it over Lamar's head, but it is not enough to make him release that grip around her neck. He eventually kills her. Man, this is crazy. Lamar just came in, killed Meech's baby mama. The only woman on earth who really loved or cared about this man is now gone. We go back to Veronica, Jen, and Brian, and it looks like Brian is knocked off the cat. We see that Jen is snooping around. She finds Brian's new safe, but she also finds a tag related to B. Mickey's hospital visit. Brian wakes up and asks her to come back to bed, and she plays it off. Once she lays down, we see that Brian definitely knows that she was snooping around. We go back to Ty's house and Meech is there. We hear Meech asking Deanna if Ty can go to Magic City. Ty tells Meech that he's really into his family life, but Meech is eventually able to convince Deanna to let him go to Magic City with him. We go back to Mo's house and we see that Lamar has brought Al to help him clean up Mo's body. Al berates him for killing the only woman who has ever loved him on this earth. Lamar is freaking out and he says that Meech turned Mo against him. The phone rings and Al says, "Do not answer it." Lamar freaks out and he answers it anyway, and it's Zoe. Zoe asks where her mother is and Lamar lies and says that she's in the shower. Before she gets off the phone, Lamar tells her that he loves her and she does not reply back. She hangs up and Al asks Lamar to help him pick up the body so he can cremate her. So damn, they getting rid of the body. Oh God, these dudes are nasty. They're nasty, bro. So now we go back to the precinct and we see that Veronica Jen is on the phone following the paper trail with Brian transferring B. Mickey's mother between hospitals. Brian shows up and Jen confronts him on him moving around B. Mickey's mother. Brian said he was doing this for leverage and that when B. Mickey ran off with the drugs, he moved his mother back to the bad hospital. He said he didn't tell her because he didn't want her to get compromised. He tells her that she can go snitch on him and make a statement to guard, but then Veronica Jen says it's a strike too and that she's gonna keep it between him and her. Brian says there won't be any more mistakes and that he will tell her everything from now on. Meech meets this dude named Dice who's slinging drugs. Meech asks him to meet him in Magic City later on tonight. We go back to the Flenory house and we see Nikki and Lucille. Looks like Lucille's staring off the space like she's sad thinking about the whole affair with Charles. Nikki brings Lucille some food and she says that Lucille hasn't been eating and that she's gonna take care of her, and then we hear a knock on the door. Turns out it is Mabel and she is returning those pots that she borrowed from Lucille. Lucille sits Mabel down and she tells her about the affair with Charles. She starts crying and Mabel offers her a handkerchief. As she's going through her purse to pull out the handkerchief, she pulls out a pack of matches from the Easy Rest Motel. Lucille sees this and puts two and two together. Lucille says that she's been thinking about what she would do to the bitch that broke up her happy home and that she might go upside her head. And Nikki's watching this whole thing on the stairs. She's over hiding on the stairs listening and watching this whole thing. Mabel tries to open her mouth and explain what's going on, but Lucille tells her to just shh and to not open her mouth. She's holding the pot over her head and she's telling Mabel that she thought Charles was over at her house fixing up a shed for her, but instead he was patching her dry ass walls. Oh man, damn, dropped it hard on her. Mabel says that she did not mean to hurt Lucille and that's why she broke it off with Charles. Lucille says to stay away from her and her family or that she will kick her ass up and down the street. She follows her in a threatening way to the door and says that she is now dead to her. Once Mabel leaves, Lucille comes back into the house and she grabs Charles's guitar. She starts smashing it and yelling that she hates Charles. Charles comes downstairs and Lucille confronts him. She says, "I can't believe you did that with Mabel." And Charles says that he loves Lucille and not her. And Lucille says that any love that she has for Charles is gone and she runs upstairs. Charles tries to go up to talk to her, but then Nikki tells Charles to leave and that he has done enough. So man, that was a sad scene. That was a sad scene right there. But I'm glad that Lucille found out and she got some closure on what happened. Lucille did not hit her with the pan. This is how it should have went down. We switch to Terry and ATL and he's meeting up with the hitman in the back of a car. He points out B. Mickey and he pays the hitman to do the job. We go to Brian and he's arguing with his ex about Kevin. The phone hangs up. It turns out that Gar is calling a meeting and Boom has slipped up and they're gonna go pick him up. We go over back to the BMF crew in Magic City at one of the clubs. We get to meet Mo's little cousin again who's in the club and she introduces Meech to a girl named Dila. Meech pays her for sex. We get to see that Meech is no raw dog Charles. I'm sure you ladies will enjoy this scene. Meech finishes his sex scene and he comes out and he gets introduced to Stephanie by Goldie. Once Stephanie leaves, Goldie talks to Meech about Sandra. This is the woman that Meech ran into earlier in her house. Goldie tells Meech that Sandra is Goldie's sister and that she has AIDS and she's dying from it. She says that she's trying to care for her and that she'll go to any lengths to take care of her family. Meech now understands the situation that was going on in Goldie's house and we switch over and we see that the guy that Meech got into it with earlier, Remy, is now targeting Meech. We go outside and Meech, Terry, and B. Mickey, they're smoking. B. Mickey tries to pass the blunt to Meech, but Meech goes a different direction. At this point, we see B. Mickey, he sees the hitman look at him and he pulls out his pistol. The hitman starts shooting at B. Mickey, but B. Mickey's able to run away and not get hit. But then next thing you know, Remy's crew starts shooting and the BMF crew has to shoot back. So now we're in this huge shootout and B. Mickey survives. So B. Mickey does not get hit by the hitman. It looks like the hitman is actually taken out by Remy's crew. After the shootout, we see that Ty Washington has gotten hit and he's dying. Meech tries to stay to help him, but Terry has to get him out of there. Meech goes back to Ty Washington's house and he lets Deanna know that Ty Washington was killed in a shootout after the club. Deanna is very distraught to hear this and she says that she wants whoever to do this to die, and she slaps Meech when he says that he's gonna try to make it right. We then go to a rooftop with Terry and B-Mick. B-Mick is saying they could have gone through all this trouble inside Detroit, and Terry says that B-Mick can have all this, he can run this area, that he doesn't want to deal with all this shooting and shit. B-Mick says that that's true, then why did they try to set him up, that he's seen Terry with the hitman in the back of the car in the parking lot. At this point, he pulls out a strap on Terry. Terry tries to play it off and say that B-Mickey is tripping, but then Meech shows up and he pulls a gun on B-Mickey. B-Mickey talks about all the things that he's done for Meech, and he says that he would die for him. Terry is yelling for Meech to kill B-Mickey, and Meech is struggling to pull the trigger. It turns out that Meech can't kill B-Mickey, and he says that B-Mickey is his brother, and he says he needed to bring down the real enemy, who was Brian. Terry looked like he ain't trying to hear all this shit, but then he gets a call from Markeisha, who lets him know that Boom has gotten picked up by the police. Terry's tripping about this because he knows the police will show Boom the pictures of him and Markeisha sleeping together. We switch to the precinct, and Brian is walking out of the interrogation room, and it looks like he has already shown Boom the pictures. Boom has snitched on Terry and Meech, and he's told about the new connect they have, and now the police are looking to use K9's witnesses to pinch Terry and Meech and go after the cartel. So that is it, guys. That's this episode. Man, this was a good episode. I like this. I enjoyed it a lot. I really wish, though, they were really dangling B-Mickey in front of us. They were dangling him in front of us. We should have got that B-Mickey kill. I'm sorry. We should have been smoking on that B-Mickey pack tonight. I don't understand why we could not have killed B-Mickey. This dude, he is snitch. It doesn't look like he is gonna be on our side. It looks like he's out for himself at every point. We should have snuffed him out. We started the episode off saying we were gonna snuff him out. We should have finished that job. Beach should have took care of him right there. So not sure what happened with that. We also got Lamar killing Mo. Oh man, I think that was one of the biggest pieces too of the episode. We got a lot of big stuff going on this episode. Lamar killing Mo. That was crazy. I did not see that coming so quickly. He caught on to her tricks. He knew that crack wasn't good, and he turned around and put his hands around her throat. Man, that was nuts. And then also too, Lucille and Mabel. I really wish I could have seen Lucille drop that pot on Mabel, but no, she did not do it. She held it in. She's a Christian woman, and she did not want to get very unchristian-like in her house. Not in front of Nikki, right? Okay, so there we go, guys. There we go. That's it for this week. Let's see what happens next week. Hopefully next week in this finale, we finally take care of Lamar. We got to take care of Lamar in this finale. We got to. We know that Brian is going to survive. There's no way Brian's going to die. So, I don't know. Hopefully we'll come back and we get B-Mickey. Who knows? All right, guys? Thank you for rocking with your boy. Make sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, and put a notification bell so you know when I go live or make a new video. All right, guys. Peace.